Hello, my friend. This is On the Way Out. Mark 10, verse 46 to 52 says, Then they came to Jericho. As Jesus and his disciples together with a large crowd were leaving the city, a blind man, Bartimaeus, which means son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. And told him to, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus stopped and said, Call him. Called to the blind man, Cheer up, on your feet, he's calling you. Throwing aside, he jumped, came to Jesus. What do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked him. The blind man said, Rabbi, I want to see. Go, said Jesus, your faith has healed you. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the occurrence of strange things? I mean, something unexpected, something dramatic, something awesome. Take a soccer game, for example, between two strong teams, and the game is decided at the last minute. Well, today's text has nothing to do with soccer, but it has to do with one last act of Jesus as he and his team were leaving the city of Jericho. What happened that day while he was in the city? The text does not tell us, but we know that his disciples were with him, his team of dedicated followers, and there was also a big crowd following him. This is customary with Jesus because he was different. Jesus is the leader who would heal sick people, raise up dead people, feed a whole crowd with just enough food for a young boy, teach some profound and radical lessons. Jesus was popular, and so it is not surprising that there was a crowd with him, even as he was leaving Jericho. Well, as Jesus was heading out of town, one man who could not see, who was going by what he heard, changed the course of events. He was in a familiar seat by the roadside begging. A blind person is at a huge disadvantage, and in his case, he had to beg in order to survive. He cannot see, so he acts based on what he hears. This time, he heard the crowd, and someone told him that the crowd was because Jesus of Nazareth was in town. This man, who normally begs for money and probably food, shouted, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. This guy cannot be serious. Jesus is trying to get out of town. The crowd is around him, probably begging him to stay or to do one more miracle. But it is clear nobody has any time to listen to a blind beggar. So naturally, they told him to be quiet. Somebody might have said, Be quiet, Barty. Jesus doesn't have time for you today. That did not deter the man, and he cried out louder. It worked. Given all the noise around him, Jesus heard this one man calling out for mercy, and so Jesus asked them to bring the calling man to him. You know something? Jesus hears our cry. Above all the noise that is going on, when we cry out to him, when we are discouraged given our situation, when there is no one who is crying out on your behalf, if you raise your voice and call out to him, trust me, he will hear and he will give you some Jesus attention. And this is exactly what he did. They brought the blind man to Jesus, and although it was the end of the day, and although he and his disciples were on the way out, Jesus took time out of his busy schedule to pay attention to a blind man, a man who is always on the street begging, a man who is not contributing to society, but is more of a menace. Jesus, the great teacher, made time for him at the end of the day. I hope you're getting it. Jesus cares for you, and he will respond to you if you call to him. He is never too busy, and you are not a nobody that he won't stop to listen to your request. Jesus asked him, What do you want me to do for you? You're crying out for me to have mercy on you. Well, what area of your life do you wish to experience my mercy? You see, Jesus can fix anything. There is no human problem that he cannot take care of. And in this case, he was giving the blind beggar the opportunity to name his need. This is what Jesus wants to hear from you. Don't be modest. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Bartimaeus said, I want to see. Simple. Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." Immediately, not the next day, not over the next couple of hours, but immediately he was able to see. And this happened at the end of the day when Jesus was on his way out of the city of Jericho. My friend, let us get personal. You have a need. There is an issue in your life that is a huge problem. You've heard of Jesus. You might have all kinds of crazy ideas, but this one thing is certain. You need to call out to Jesus and he will turn his attention to you. Catch this. You might be thinking that you are not important, that Jesus has more important things to do. Think again. When the blind man called out for Jesus to have mercy on him, that man was probably the lowest of low people in that community. But he cried out to Jesus, and Jesus heard. And listen, his cry was a cry of faith. Jesus said, "It is because you cried out to me that you are getting the gift of sight." And all of this, my friend, happened at the end of the day while Jesus was on his way out of town. This is your moment to call out to Jesus. My friend, if this message has meant anything to you and you would like to share it, send me an email, friendofclyde@gmail.com.